Your brain on drugs. What does it actually look like? Here's what we know about how substances change your brain based on science. When you do drugs, they affect your brain's reward system, which is made up of several areas that, when activated, release a chemical messenger called dopamine. Dopamine is like a key that unlocks a door in your brain, and when it unlocks the door, it lets you experience pleasure. This is great if you're doing something healthy like hanging out with friends or getting good grades. But if you're doing something harmful like taking drugs, then that pleasure is a big fat lie, because drugs trick your brain into thinking you're getting some delicious pizza when you're really just getting a soggy cardboard box. And here's the thing. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a cardboard box and pizza. It only knows that there's something outside of its door that it wants. So, here's what happens. The drug activates the reward center in your brain, which releases dopamine. That dopamine floods your brain and makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. You think to yourself, wow, that was awesome. Let's do it again. But every time you do the drug, it takes more and more of it to get the same feeling. You build up a tolerance. You might be thinking, well, come on. Obviously, you build up a tolerance to pizza too if you eat it every day for lunch. But that's not quite how it works with drugs. When you take drugs, they cause a cascade of changes in your brain that make you crave them even when you don't want to. Like your brain can start making less dopamine, so it has to rely on the drug to give it that little kick. Or it can start making too much dopamine, which means that you need more of the drug to feel anything at all. Either way, your brain is changing in response to the drug, which means that you're more likely to take it even if you don't want to. So let's say you decide to stop taking the drug. Well, your brain has gone through so many changes to accommodate the drug that when you stop taking it, you go through withdrawal. Your brain is now making too much of its own dopamine, so you feel depressed and you can't focus. Or maybe your brain is making too little of its own dopamine, so you feel tired and lack motivation. You might also experience other symptoms depending on the drug and how long you took it. For example, if you stopped taking cocaine, you might have trouble sleeping. If you stopped taking opioids, you might feel sick to your stomach. And if you thought that addiction was just a character flaw or a lack of willpower, this should really drive home the point that addiction is a disease of the brain. There are even studies to show that people with certain genetic variations are more likely to become addicted to things like nicotine and alcohol. But you're not doomed if you have the unlucky genes. There are things you can do to help yourself out. For example, one study found that people who exercise regularly are less likely to become addicted to drugs and alcohol. Another study found that people who meditate are better able to resist cravings and manage withdrawal symptoms. And a third study found that people who have a strong social support system are more likely to recover from addiction. So if you're struggling with addiction, please know that there is hope. And if you're not struggling with addiction, please know that you're not alone. Almost everyone struggles with something. Now, if you've ever wondered why you can't seem to get enough sleep, we made an episode about that. Why do humans need sleep anyway? It's a good question. Thanks for watching.